Thank you, Mr. Swalwell, for your leadership of the Future Forum and your focus on these veterans issues. I actually represent more veterans than any Democrat in the United States Congress, and actually, I think my region is a whole lot stronger as a result of that, because we have men and women who've served our country who choose to make the Olympic Peninsula or Tacoma area their home.
Approximately how many veterans do you represent?
I don't know the exact number, but we got a slew of them, and it's largely between Naval Base Kitsap and our Joint Base. People serve in our area, and it's a glorious place to live. So after their service, they choose to make it their home. And frankly, as you know, my background was working in economic development, and when you talk to employers in our region, by and large, they get it that the veterans bring a lot to the table, that they bring a skill set, a unique skill set from their prior experience. They bring a work ethic. They bring a sense of patriotism. And so our workforce is a stronger workforce because of the service of those men and women who want to attach into the civilian workforce. Certainly there are some challenges in that regard, and that means, we ought to be focused on that. For example, embracing programs like helmets to hard hats, which, you heard the reference earlier to trying to deploy our veterans to build up America's infrastructure. It means ensuring that our veterans don't face discrimination when they pursue employment. And in fact, in my state, we added military and veteran status to our state's non-discrimination statute to ensure that when someone was seeking employment, that their military status wasn't used against them, either for the reasons that Mr. Moulton suggested around concerns about PTSD or something like that, but also our Guard members and reservists who, when we had hearings on that legislation at the state level, were told, well, I'm concerned about hiring you because what happens if you get called up again? That's not right. People who choose to serve our country, people who fight for our country overseas shouldn't have to fight for a job when they come home. And I think that should be a focus of this Congress as well. It also means applauding those firms, large and small, who make it a priority to hire our veterans. And we've got plenty in my neck of the woods that have really made a strong effort to hire our veterans. But legislatively, there's also things that we can and should do. Making sure that those who have served overseas are able, and who've served in the military period, are able to translate the experiences and the skills they've learned into a civilian job.
And on that one, I want to ask you, because
sure,
if you could expand, because I have heard, and Mr. Moulton and I were talking about this earlier, medics, people who serve in the military, they have a medical training to help others who are wounded or get sick. They're having a hard time, and I'm hearing this in the Bay Area. When they come home, they want to work naturally as an EMT or a paramedic, and they're finding, by and large, that their training is not being accepted by the local schools or the state requirements. Are you hearing about this?
Yeah, absolutely. A few years back when I served in the state legislature, I visited Clover Park Technical College, which is in the 10th District of Washington, Denny Heck's district. But when I was in the legislature, I visited that college, and I was meeting with a group of students, and one said, I was a battlefield medic, and I wanted to enter the nursing program, and my prior experience didn't count towards the pursuit of that college credential. And so we actually changed state law, requiring our state colleges and universities to acknowledge that prior military experience, and whether that be in a medical profession or, you talk to folks who drove truck as part of the logistics efforts through the battlefield of Afghanistan and want to get a commercial driver's license. We also passed a law that directs our State Department of Licensing to acknowledge that prior military experience and have it count towards some of the requirements for pursuing either a college degree or a professional license or certification. But that's something that I think we really have to rededicate ourselves to ensure, again, that transition is a smooth one. I did actually want to share with you, some veterans in our area are actually doing some pretty cool stuff. I was at the University of Washington, Tacoma, they stood up a veterans incubator for veterans who are looking to start a business. And one of the businesses that was started was from a young veteran, a guy named Steve Buchanan, from my district. And I actually invited him to the State of the Union because Steve had a cool idea for a company, and he made it happen. He worked with his CFO, who's also a veteran, Chris Shepard, and they hit upon a simple way to connect veterans with flexible jobs. And their idea was basically to create an online marketplace for veterans who had skills on one side of the equation to people who had something that needed to get done. Sort of an online marketplace for anything from remodeling or landscaping to IT work. And they're, anyone can visit their website and you can plug in your task of what you're looking to get done, and you can find a veteran with those skills and a desire to work. And, it's a great way to give veterans a chance to get some flexible work, directly from folks who need their help. And it's a great platform for the community to show their support for our nation's heroes.
And you're hitting on Stephen Brown at @StevBrown_. He asked, can our government offer incentives to veterans who want to start small businesses? He just asked that on Twitter. What do you think about that? Can we do more?
Sure. I think it's always good to look at whether that be through our SBA programs and the availability of access to capital. One of the things that we're looking at doing is focused on businesses who hire our veterans. Already through things like our procurement process, there are some advantages for veteran-owned businesses. But one of the things we're looking at is could you create an incentive for those who hire a whole lot of veterans so that they have some incentive to do that hiring as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kilmer. Appreciate your continued participation in Future Forum. I know the veterans in your area are very grateful to have you standing up on the House floor tonight to champion their issues and getting them into the workforce.
We're lucky to have them. Thanks so much.